This is Inspiring Moments with Rebecca Pratt. In my 50 years of life, I have found that God truly knows best. I do not. God is daily waiting for us to let go of having to be in control and to let Him take over every aspect of our lives. I love the story in 1 Kings 17, 9-16. Through a 3-year famine, the prophet Elijah was told by God that a widow would feed him and care for him. In the practical sense, she was the most unlikely person to do this. When he reached this widow, she was preparing to make the last bit of food she had and was preparing to die with her only son. Elijah, knowing the God he served, asked her to please make him a cake first, and that God would not let her flour or oil run out until the Lord sent rain on the land. The beautiful part about this is that by faith, she did according to what Elijah asked of her. Once she took action, it says in the 16th verse, the bin of flour was not used up, nor did the jar of oil run dry according to the word of the Lord. God proved himself trustworthy through this story, and he will do the same for you and I. What is interesting is that Elijah did not second guess the Lord in this. It must have been very difficult for him to ask a very impoverished woman to provide for him when she could not even provide for herself and for her son. Yet his faith in the Lord was great, and he knew God's character. He knew God would not abandon this woman and her son in this situation if she would take this action of faith. There are countless times that I feel nudged by God to step out in faith. Yet the circumstances do not seem correct at the time to do what I feel God is wanting me to do. One example was when a little baby was dying in my arms. She only weighed 4.7 pounds as an 8-month-old in Africa. Her name was Lucrece. Everything within my natural instinct was to take Lucrece to the hospital to save this dying baby's life. Yet there was a deep sense within me to not do it. I felt that God wanted me to hand Lucrece back to the mother and to trust God with her life or with her death. Once back to where I was staying, God began to give me a plan. I was to task our anti-trafficking team to deal with the situation and to train all the mothers in the village on how to take care of their children through Lucrece's life. To my shock, this ended up being one of the biggest village transformational times in how mothers take care of their babies in this area. In an area where babies were dying in large numbers, due to the investment of our local anti-trafficking team in training these women how to care for their young, the death toll of babies has been significantly diminished. This little malnourished baby named Lucrece was used as an example and teaching tool and is a thriving little girl today. In this area, mothers are now proud to be helping each other take care of one another's babies to make sure that they all survive and thrive. If one mother cannot produce enough milk to provide for their own, another who does have milk steps in, as was in the case with Lucrece. We now see beautiful plump babies all around. Stepping out in faith is what God asks us to do, even when we don't understand how He is going to do it. It's key to seeing God make a way where there seems to be no way. Today, let's choose to take action with the small things that God is prompting us to do, so He can gradually entrust us with the bigger things in life.
More stories and info at orphanreliefandrescue.org.